Did Mike Gundy actually say something kind of smart?
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. As spring football evolves in the new era of college football, one with the transfer portal, name, image, and likeness, the college football playoff, a number of teams have taken to canceling their spring games altogether and are trying to operate in a little bit different way when spring football comes to mind. Well, one Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State head coach, had an interesting idea as a play on what Deion Sanders recommended a couple weeks ago, getting two teams together in the spring to have joint practices, a scrimmage, play a spring game. Mike Gundy actually thinks that that's a pretty good idea, and he suggests that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State reignite their Bedlam rivalry in spring football. Jay, what was your reaction to hearing what Mike Gundy had to say?
I think it's a dumb idea. I'm going to be 100% honest. It appears that he likes the idea of playing Oklahoma when it doesn't count. And sure, you may get a little money out of it. Sure, you may have some fans show up to it. But the premise of it, doing it to use the revenue for NIL, like splitting it each year or doing it, twice in a month, like 1 week at Oklahoma State, 1 week at Oklahoma. I mean, that's all cool and dandy and all, but the simpler thing is to just buy out some of these FCS games and play each other like you normally would. That's the simplest thing. I'm looking at the schedule, 2026. Oklahoma State plays Murray State. Oklahoma has New Mexico. That's probably pretty easy to just buy those two out and boom, play against each other that way. To me, it'd be so much simpler to just go back to the actual way and make this bad boy count. A Bedlam spring game, sure, may be fun for some, but if I'm going to do a spring game, if I'm going to do an actual spring scrimmage against somebody, I want to do it against a team that I'm actually helping, and that would help me. Playing against Oklahoma State is no benefit to Oklahoma. It's only beneficial to Oklahoma State.
I can see why people would be for this because this is better than no spring game.
Fair.
At the same time, I see this as a lose-lose for Oklahoma. Because if you play against Oklahoma State in a practice session, in a scrimmage, and all the reports come out that, Oklahoma State was better than Oklahoma, well, that's a ding to you. And if you go and you do what you're supposed to do and you have a good practice session or a good scrimmage against Oklahoma State, well, you did what you were supposed to do. It doesn't, to me, benefit Oklahoma. This is Oklahoma State taking an opportunity to punch up at Oklahoma and say, well, hey, we're kind of pushing the ball back into their court to get Bedlam going. And when really, in the reality of things, Oklahoma State is just as much part of the we're not playing Bedlam as Oklahoma. Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, their president, their AD, had made it clear for years that there was no interest in doing Bedlam football. And it's not because they didn't want to buy out teams. It's not because their schedule was full. They could have made it work. Bedlam would have been enough money to make the buyout worth it. They didn't want to do it because they were mad and angry that Oklahoma left for the SEC without them. It still comes back to all of that. And so Mike Gundy saying, that's a great idea. We should do this. It would help both teams. It would create NIL. To me, that is politicking when he knows the answer is no. And then he can go back to his fan base and be like, well, we suggested it. Oklahoma didn't want to do it. And his fan base can get all chest puffed out and say, we wanted to do it. Oklahoma's afraid of playing Oklahoma State in the spring. It doesn't matter. As much as I sat on here a couple weeks ago and said, I really want the spring game, I do think it matters. This is a game or a practice session or a scrimmage that would not matter. And someone sits there and says, okay, playing against or having an organized practice against another team, what's the harm in that? Right. Again, I don't think it benefits Oklahoma, especially if they have a bad day and then the reports are out there that Oklahoma State dominated practice. or if they get into a bunch of fights with Oklahoma State, because the heat is still there, whether it's a rivalry or not. You don't see the Dallas Cowboys having joint practices with the Washington Commanders or the Philadelphia Eagles in the offseason. No. If they do it with anybody from the NFC, it's usually like the Rams. And that's more out of proximity than anything, because the Dallas Cowboys have their training camp in Oxnard, California.
Yeah.
Is Stillwater proximate? Is there a proximity for Stillwater? Yeah. But you know what? You can get a lot of teams here to Norman and have
to me, spring practice with like UCO, Tulsa. We've played Tulsa in a game before, but Tulsa's always still a good option. Oklahoma State, to me, it just doesn't make any sense to make that like a bandaged version of Bedlam. I want them to actually play a game that matters.
Yes.
I want everyone to care, because regardless of how we feel about spring game or even a spring scrimmage, it's still completely scripted. They're going as hard as they possibly can, while at the same time, the quarterbacks are wearing blue jerseys, all of that.
It's vanilla defense, vanilla offense. And Correct. It would just be, to me, again, it would just be an opportunity for, Oklahoma State beat writers, Oklahoma beat writers to be out there talking about how one team did better than the other. And we wouldn't really have, especially if they didn't televise it, we wouldn't really know. But to me, back to what you mentioned, like, it cheapens the rivalry a little bit.
Yeah.
When you take it out of a meaningful football game, what's made Bedlam so great over the last 4 years, or the last 4 times that they played, was the juice behind it.
Yeah.
There was so much energy. Like, you go back to that 2021 football game, Oklahoma's fighting for their playoff lives, and Oklahoma State upsets them and basically runs Lincoln Riley out of town because he decided that, okay, I can't win in tough environments anymore.
Yep.
Or, 2023, when Oklahoma, like, they're having a good season, Danny Stutzman's not available. You're not able to beat Oklahoma State, and then you lose to Kansas also. Like, that derailed your playoff hopes. Well, Oklahoma Oklahoma was able to get wins in 2022, back in 2020, and it's a game that's got a lot of juice to it. I know Oklahoma fans don't want to sit there and call it a rivalry, but it's a rivalry. I'm sorry, it is. It may not be a rivalry to the same level that we view Texas, and it never will be, but it's a rivalry.
I mean, yeah, it's in a way rivalry just because it's an in-state type deal. I mean, it's big brother, little brother type situation, and it does matter. We all care about those games, and that's, as you point out, that's the most critical component of it, is we want the game to matter. If the game matters, we'll be about that. We'll be all over it and definitely want to participate, but we don't want to play a game that doesn't matter. That's the thing that I think that bothers me about the idea of doing this as a scrimmage, is that it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like, if you played softball, Bedlam softball in the fall, would it have as much juice as a meaningful game in April between the two teams that are going to be potentially Women's College World Series teams?
Right.
Absolutely not. It wouldn't. To me, it's about making the game matter. It's a rivalry that matters. I've been on this, show, hosted it for a long time, through, conference realignment, through Lincoln Riley leaving. And I've always said Bedlam is one of those games that if you could get it back on the schedule every year, I'm all for it.
Yep.
Because it matters.
Find a way. Just it matters, and you have the schedule and capabilities to do it. Most of your games on your schedule are there to help some of these smaller schools with their budget, which I totally get. You can buy out Murray State. I mean, they play Oregon this year, so they've got a little bit of a tough schedule going for them. But they could have bought out UT Martin, and by doing that before everybody has their schedule set in 26 and 27, you can make sure that you have that game set to be the last game of every year.
Yeah.
Just like OU Texas is always one of the first or second Saturdays in October. It'll always be that. Do the same thing for Bedlam. We're good.
We're good. I just want to see John Mateer play a Bedlam game one time. Please, in 2026. Hopefully we can keep John Mateer around long enough. But
hopefully
if things go according to plan, maybe he's off to the NFL. But John Mateer had some comments for those in attendance after practice on Tuesday. We'll discuss what he had to say coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. They're easy to use. Website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts, wow, that's a lot. From 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. So join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, John Mateer is a really good quarterback, but it sounds like he's being tested a little bit in spring ball by one Oklahoma Sooners defense.
Yeah, they're throwing him in the fire. They're throwing him in the ringer, and it's fascinating because today the team came back from spring break and they did practices. So they had spring practice has resumed, and now we need to break down the quarterback position. But John Mateer was talking to the media, and he made this comment, and this is something that jumped out to me that I think, John, is going to get you excited. He said, "We've got some freak athletes on this defense. I can't miss a throw or it's going the other way." So basically he's praising Brent Venables' defense and his excitement about them and just how good they are. But you know the thing that jumped out to me the most? The fact that he said he can't miss on the throw or it's going the other way. That means that he's paying attention to the intensity of an SEC caliber defense, which we know Oklahoma is. And he's seeing that, all right, my precision's got to be on point. He's not quiet about it. He's not shy about it. He's saying, nah, Brent Venables' defense is legit. Those players are good. I got to make sure my P's and Q's. And because of the way everybody has praised him around practice, even his teammates or whatnot, I'm feeling rather confident about his game.
Yeah, when you're a guy that's as good as John Mateer is, you don't necessarily shy away from the reality that you are playing against a good defense every single day. Or the expectations that, hey, I've actually got to be as close to perfect as I possibly can. Otherwise, it could result in a turnover or it can result in a pick six. We know Oklahoma is capable of turning the ball over and returning it for a touchdown. We saw it. Kip Lewis is that guy, right? Kip six. He's the dude that can turn the ball over. But I don't mind that John Mateer isn't shy about the challenges and the expectations that come with being the quarterback at Oklahoma. He's leading from the front. He knows what the expectation is. He knows that this is a big year for the Sooners, but he's got the mentality to do it the right way, to lead the right way. And that's why everybody feels so comfortable with the quarterback position right now and the direction of the quarterback position. Some of it is Ben Arbuckle and his ability to create great offense and get the most out of his quarterbacks. The other part of it is you've got a guy in John Mateer who's just, for lack of a better term, a gamer. He's a dude that you can put the game in his hands and he's going to help you win that football game. You don't have to scheme around him. You don't have to scale things back. You don't have to rely on a running game. You can rely on John Mateer to go win you a football game. And I think that is the thing that gives me the most confidence about the quarterback position moving forward, especially in 2025. But this sets the tone for the future at quarterback.
He does. And you can tell that he's out there having fun too, just with the comments, the smiling, the talking about the defense and stuff. I talked about this last year before, and me and you talked about this over the summer when I first joined you here on the show. And the biggest thing about the difference last year and this year that I'm hearing is that there's a different type of energy with the guy that is in charge of the team. Last year, it was still kind of up in the air. Michael Hawkins was doing a lot of flash. Jackson Arnold was doing enough, but it didn't feel the same as it does with John Mateer. It feels like players are saying on defense, nah, John Mateer's a gamer. Yeah, he's going to go out there and he's going to find ways. And it sounds like he's probably throwing a good amount of interceptions right now. And that is not a bad thing. Like, you want your quarterback to be that aggressive and be willing to test himself and see his limits, especially when you're going against a defense that has been proven to be pretty solid in the SEC. If he's testing himself this well against this defense and Brent Venables is throwing the kitchen sink at him, he will actually be forged in fire. And I sense that he won't be afraid when he goes out there. He won't clam up in any situation. He's going to let that thing rip. And if he lets that thing rip, very good chance this team has a very solid season.
Well, and he's also making plays. Like, we're seeing the highlight reels, right? The connection between him and Giovanni Gibson. If you watch the Isaiah Satania mic'd up segment that he had last week, you saw the connection between those two as well. Deion Burks is working back into practice. There's going to be plays made on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think that there's any worry there. I think it's got to get back to good. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be elite. We don't have to have a Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield type performance or a Dylan Gabriel from 2023 type performance for Oklahoma to go be successful. You've just got to have good. It doesn't have to be great. It has to be good, though, for Oklahoma to go win 10 games and make the playoff, or to go 10 or better and make the playoff. He's got to be good. And I think he's capable of that. And as we talked about the quarterback position, I think it does set the stage for the future, because you've got a good young quarterback in Michael Hawkins, who is a dynamic player, both as a passer and as a runner. I know our most recent memories were, well, I guess we had the Navy game, and he made some plays in that game.
He did.
He kind of got left hung out to dry a couple times with some pressure. He got left hung out to dry by a big drop that would have been a big pass reception. There were some really good things out of Michael Hawkins in that game. We saw it, against Auburn. We saw some good things, but we also saw a true freshman. But all of that, the ups and the downs, created an opportunity for him to go back to the drawing board, learn from his mistakes, and get better. And he's going to be better for it down the road too. Now he gets an opportunity to learn from a guy like John Mateer, who's gotten a year of starting experience under his belt. He knows Ben Arbuckle's system, and he can watch how John Mateer leads, and he can develop as a leader himself.
Yeah, and I think Michael Hawkins is probably learning a lot about the way that John Mateer carries himself, because I think Michael Hawkins has an opportunity to be something special himself. Like, we saw some flashes. We saw what he did against Auburn. We saw how he came against Tennessee, start to make some moves and get a little comfortable and acclimated. I mean, he went on the road as a true freshman and won a game in a very hostile environment, in which I think it's only really hostile for one team. But I digress. He went out there and got that W, which is the only thing that matters, and held on to it to be able to finish that bad boy. To me, Michael Hawkins really understudying with John Mateer, and not only learning the offense that Ben Arbuckle is going to unleash next season, but understanding the leadership qualities and stuff. It kind of makes me think about what Robert Spears Jennings said when he talked about Billy Bowman coming back one more year, and how he learned a lot about just being a leader, especially in the room. He's like, yeah, I'm the old head in the room now, and I got to go out there and lead these young guys. And Billy really helped, drop little hints and nuggets and things to me to help me grow as a man, as a player, as a teammate. And I feel like Michael Hawkins will be able to pull a lot of that stuff from John Mateer as well. I mean, I know he's got his dad, Michael Hawkins Sr., who's a pretty outstanding dude himself. And he was, played in the NFL, played at college. He did well at each level. But having someone that's been in your shoes at the quarterback spot, doing what you're doing today, I mean, it's a difference maker, and it gives you a different perspective. And I feel like Mateer is going to be able to provide that from him, because he's moved around. He wasn't really recruited very heavily. Got his offer from Washington State, went there, sat for a year, learned, 2 years, went, finally got his game in and cooked last season. And now he's going to come here and have to do the same thing. And so them two encouraging each other, it's definitely going to be a plus. And then, of course, you got Jet New behind him and Cole Gonzalez, which I think Cole is going to be one. It's going to be kind of shocking when he comes in late in games to kind of do like mop-up duty or whatnot. He's probably going to be one. You're going to be like, oh, okay, I didn't know he could rip it like that.
Mm-hmm. And he gives you the opportunity to keep a red shirt for Michael Hawkins if you desire to do that. You know, if you want to play Michael Hawkins in 4 games this year, but retain his red shirt capability, you've got a veteran in Cole Gonzalez that if you get the opportunity to play some garbage time snaps because you're ahead so much, then you've got a guy in Cole Gonzalez that you can roll out there, or even Jet New, who you can roll out there and still get something out of the offense. So it's going to be fascinating to watch this quarterback position. I think it is in a really good position. It's in a better position, I think, than they were last year, because it's just more experienced when you have a guy like John Mateer in. And then, you know, the Cole Gonzalez for General Booty trade, I think that's about equal. I think those guys are probably similar. But then, you know, you bring in a guy like Jet New, who's your, man, I already forgot the other quarterback that was here last year from Ohio.
Oh, you're talking about Brendan Zurbrugg.
Yeah, Brendan Zurbrugg. God, sorry, Brendan.
Love Zurbrugg. Sorry, man. He's at Utah. He's gonna be cooking over there.
Utah. Going well for you with the Utes. You know, enjoy the beautiful scenery up there in Utah. That's my fault. Anyway, but yeah, quarterback is in a much better place, and I think it's exciting to see what Ben Arbuckle's done and what he's doing and where it's going from here, because still they've got a lot of potential to get out of this group. One player who has enormous potential. The ceiling is the roof, right? What was that, the Michael Jordan quote from forever ago?
It was.
Yeah, the ceiling is the roof. Well, one Aaliyah Chavez commits to the Oklahoma Sooners. We're going to talk about just what that means for OU coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. Today's episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch Money, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year over at monarchmoney.com.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Aaliyah Chavez, the number one prospect in America, the Gatorade National Player of the Year, committed to the Oklahoma Sooners, choosing the Sooners over Texas, Texas Tech, LSU, South Carolina. And Jay, for a program that is experiencing some incredible highs right now in the NCAA tournament, just coming off of a huge butt whooping of Iowa to the tune of 34 points. This was a monumental recruiting job by Jenny Baranczyk and her staff to land Aaliyah Chavez.
Oh, yeah, it is huge. They got Aaliyah on campus for the Florida Gulf Coast game. Of course, they cooked them 81-58 and did what they needed to do. Aaliyah got the red carpet rolled out. I saw some of the insiders talking about everybody that had conversations with her. And then, you know, there was the rumor she was going to go to the Texas game, and that ended up being like, nope, she's not going to make that game. We were like, yep. We think that Oklahoma may have sealed the deal. They're going to get her to sign the line, which is dotted, which will be April 16th. But the expectation is she will. I mean, she can hoop. Led Monterey Lady Plainsmans to their first state championship since 1981. And just a straight baller. Like, I watch her. She's a bucket. Like, she's got it. And she fits perfectly in what, Coach Baranczyk likes to do there at Oklahoma. They put up a lot of threes. She's going to be shooting them. She's going to pull up from close to the logo. She's going to pull up from all kinds of spots and put them up. So she's a great cornerstone for this. She's probably one of the biggest recruiting pickups we've had since probably the Paris twins, right? Like, maybe Trae Young. it's been a while. I can't even really name anybody on football outside of like David Stone, but I mean like top, like the number one of that position.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since we've seen anybody, and she's gonna be fun to watch in Norman. Shout out to Jenny. She cooking.
Yeah, I think it was a total team effort. Obviously, NIL is going to play a factor in this. We know Trey Young, or I think can be assumed that Trey Young had a hand in some of this as well, being from West Texas. I think there's a little bit of
mixing his airness
there.
Mix his airness in there and recognizing a potential star in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Nakos reported right afterwards that, she's going to be probably signing an NIL deal with Jordan Brand, meaning she's going to be she'll be the second player probably ever to go to Jordan Brand right going into college, which makes sense.
Yep.
If with her being as toted as she is as a player, John, it makes sense that Aaliyah Chavez is going to be the one that gets an opportunity to have a branding deal with them this early. And if she lives up to those expectations, it's funny because Oklahoma and Michael Jordan has a lot more ties than just the fact that they wear Jordan Brand on their jerseys. I mean, if you really think back on it, Russell Westbrook was a Jordan Brand guy. Michael Jordan flew here and inducted him into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. I remember going to that event and you see MJ walking in, you're like, wait, he's going to do the speech? And then, of course, he talks about Westbrook and everything and his hard work and determination, how much he loved his game, blah, blah, blah. And, that's why he's a part of Jordan Brand. So you got Westbrook with the ties of Oklahoma. Both Blake Griffin and Trey Young are both Jordan Brand athletes. So it was a natural fit to come here and keep the Jordan Brand thing going because I know Jordan Brand's really heavily expanding into the women's game, and she's going to be the one to really, propel them to another level, hopefully.
You always hear people talk about he's him, she's her. Aaliyah Chavez is her. Like, she is one of those players that can just do everything that you want a point guard to be able to do on a basketball court. If you haven't watched her highlights, just Google Aaliyah Chavez on YouTube after this show and go watch what she's capable of. I mean, she's so good off the dribble. She can create her own shot. She's got great vision. She can get to the bucket and finish. She can shoot from outside. She can just do everything really, really well. I mean, she could fill it up. She had 9 50-point games in her high school career, which is crazy. It's just, and it is a great fit for Oklahoma. And this is what she had to say when she was on ESPN. They have great coaches I've been talking to since I was in 8th grade. Just a great playing style. They match how I want to play. I want to play fast. That's how I chose OU. The vibe was just different with the players and the coaches. And yeah, you watch what Oklahoma does on a basketball court. And if you want to play a free-flowing style of basketball, you want to go to Oklahoma because they're going to get up and down the court. They're going to shoot a bunch of shots. They're going to shoot early in the shot clock. They're not trying to waste away the game. They're trying to run away from you, just like they did against Iowa.
Yep.
And Aaliyah Chavez is going to fit that like a glove. And this team now has gone from being a Sweet 16 contender to which they made it to the Sweet 16. And listen, they have a chance to make it to the Elite 8 in the Final Four. But Aaliyah Chavez takes them to another level where they can be a national title contender for the next 4 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She changes that for them. She puts Oklahoma up there into that Juju Watkins USC conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Juju is one that, as we've watched her last year, she just came out of nowhere on the scene and started cooking. And then this past season, we'll be praying for her and the injury she had. Have to have surgery, so that means she's probably gone for a full year. Won't see her again until turning time next year. But she changed the game. Everybody was tuned in to her. People were going to those games to see her play because she's that good. Now at Oklahoma, Aaliyah Chavez could be the one. And if they can continue to build off of that, there is a great opportunity to leverage the stardom they're going to get out of her and potentially other prospects for the new district they're going to build and the new arena they're going to open up for, Oklahoma men's and women's basketball. And so she's not a face. If anything, I just need the men to catch up to so we can go ahead and have both of them dominant and then dominate on the football field, and I'll be happy.
Well, just think about the year that Oklahoma women's basketball has had. They lost in the round of 32 to Indiana last April.
Yep.
Or last March, I should say.
March, yeah.
But Jenny Baranczyk did a great job retaining her roster. They didn't have big departures. You brought in Reagan Beers, and then you have a great year in your first season in the SEC. Sure, you come up short against South Carolina and against Texas, but you had a really, really good year. You earned a top 16 seed that allowed you to host in the NCAA tournament, and you put on 2 program-defining performances in the NCAA tournament, especially that win over Iowa was absolutely huge. And then the very next day, you get the number 1 player in America. Like, all of this stuff is just a snowball of great things happening for Oklahoma basketball, women's basketball. And Jenny Baranczyk has been building towards this, and she's created a culture that not only do people want to come be a part of it, but the people that are in it want to stay in it. And so you go into next year and you're going to be bringing back Peyton Verhulst, who got an extra year of eligibility. You're bringing back Reagan Beers, who has 1 more year of eligibility. You've got Sahara Williams for another year, I think 2 years actually. And then you bring in Aaliyah Chavez. You got Zaya Van. You're going to have a really good team. And you know that Jenny's going to be out there in the portal looking for impact players as well. Like, they're not sleeping on what they're going to be able to add in the portal. And players are going to want to come play for Oklahoma because the culture that Jenny has created, and obviously the talent that they've got on the team. And then you add Aaliyah Chavez to that. It's very much a desirable place to go play basketball.
It is. Jenny Baranczyk's built a place that people want to come, that women want to come play for. And I love the fact, like you said, she's able to retain majority of her roster, critical components, and then adding Reagan Beers to that. And now you get the top prospect. Oh, elite.
Yeah.
Elite job. Salute.
Yeah. Jenny's trying to turn Oklahoma into a basketball powerhouse. And
let's get it.
OU Board of Regents, make sure you do whatever it takes to keep her around in Norman for as long as it possibly is possible. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on every podcast platform. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that subscribe button over on YouTube and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. You can also check him out at Unfair Sports on YouTube. You can follow me at John 9 Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. Again, go check out Locked On College Basketball with Andy Patton and Isaac Shade as they're taking you through all of the matchups in the NCAA tournament until we get a winner on top. Also, go check out Locked On Women's Basketball for all the NCAA women's tournament action as well. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you next time. Boomer
Sooner.